Science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? Are you funny like I'm a clown, an illusion?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck up and die.
Yeah, I got that reference.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. And you know what else I get when we talk about references?
Tell me.
Is a 1930s newspaper comic
Hell
strip that turned
yeah.
into like a weird graphic novel that turned into kind of a pseudo Batman, but like mobster thing.
Yeah, like leaned into the noir with yellow. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like what's cool? It's cool actually to see this. Like, it's got the dark like grittiness, but with like bright pastels and like really like but like really definitive colors. And that's kind of fun.
Well, I know I definitely had to go look at
Cool
the comic strips
style.
like through the like through history, because obviously this is almost 100-year-old comic strip at this point, which is pretty dope. But like it's obvious that Warren Beatty was probably most I don't know for sure, but probably most inspired by like the 70s run of it, because I was looking at the 70s ones, and those are the ones that like look the most like it, and I'm like, that adds up for like his life, like 60s and 70s, I guess.
Right. For his formative years.
Yeah, it makes sense that he would.
He's got to be born in the 30s or something, or probably born in the 20s.
Don't say it, because we're just killing everyone, and Warren Beatty's still alive.
I know he really. I didn't know he was still alive. I like for sure 100% thought he was dead, and then it turns out that like
I had to look him
he's
up
still
again
kicking, and
because I did the
he still
same.
owns. He still owns the rights. to
Good,
this.
good, yeah.
Dick Tracy is like, hey, I don't know how much of the rights he owns, because it's like the original creator died, and then it's like I don't know what. I think he just owns like maybe film rights to it or something, but he still owns them.
That's awesome, and I'm glad. It's just
take him with him.
It's weird because where I did the same thing back in November. Go listen to that episode when we watched McCabe and Miss Miller, where I was like, Warren Beatty, like I know that name, and then I look him up and I'm like, I don't really know that guy, but I know that name. So I did the same thing this time. I'm like, okay, it's McCabe from McCabe and Miller is Dick Tracy.
Miller. And he's like, who does he play? He's in because he did the I could look it up, or I think it's really fun. I hope everyone at home likes when I've just seen so many movies, and my brain isn't great and remembered.
We get it. You've seen, this is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. There's fucking big brain cinema Jordan over there, the fucking ultimate.
It's not retention brain. I've watched so many movies.
Yeah.
And he did the one, Bonnie and Clyde.
That's right.
That was his fun little. That's like the picture. That's where I truly know him from, because it's like
I've never watched that movie, but I've seen enough of it to know. I was like, oh yeah, I always think I have seen it, and then I'm like, no, I never have. I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing.
Oh really?
One day,
it's
days
great.
we ought to. Because I don't think he's like a particularly amazing actor or anything, Warren Beatty, but like I got a respect for him, because even I liked him in McCabe and McCabe and Miss Miller or whatever.
I know. I'm gonna say like Mac Miller or something. I have no idea.
I liked him in that, and I liked him in this, but more than like, not because his acting is particularly good, but it's just like I can tell he's passionate, especially about this. Like, even without knowing that Dick Tracy was a passion project, it obviously is a passion project. Like, you just watch this movie and know that like that he directed and like produced it and stars in it, and nobody gives a fuck about it.
Right, he's been trying to get it produced. It's like oh my god, I wish I could remember he got the film rights to it really early, like in probably like 85 maybe, and it took him like that long to develop it, and like they didn't.
Yeah, I read something
it took
online.
him like 2 years to shoot it, so it's like
right. And this seems like a movie that probably had issues all along the way, because I heard that there was like a longer version, like a longer cut, And then
Yeah,
like
dude, yeah, there's like half-hour cut out of this thing. I'm like,
know.
I don't know what they could have added, but yeah.
no, it shows. I think they could have added some stuff. We'll get into a little bit. I
They
think
had
that
three montages.
I know.
Way many.
I know. Well, it's like I feel like give me more Breathless, man. It's like the more Breathless in him. Like
I know. Dude, did you know this is a Disney film and Madonna pops nips like 4 times in this movie? Like she's like straight up like
I was not expecting it because let's wind it back. So obviously we watched the 1990 film Dick Tracy. We didn't do a synopsis last week. I'll do a quick one. So
yeah.
Dick Tracy, right? He's like a fucking super detective in a comic book world, fighting all these bad guys who are all horrifically deformed. It's the mob. It's essentially, the 30s or 40s kind of style. Al Pacino is fucking Big Boy Capone or whatever his name is.
Yeah, it's Al Capone, basically. That's a stand-in, obviously.
He's a gross, sleazy mobster that's killing all the other mobsters, and he has this vendetta against Dick Tracy. And then Breathless Mahone is Madonna, who is like a fucking the classic femme fatale, like dancer singer of this club that fucking Big Boy takes over, and he's got all his goons, and then eventually, Dick Tracy gets wrapped up a little bit in Breathless, but he's got a girlfriend, but she's obsessed with him.
Yeah, he's got a girlfriend, and then they adopt this like orphan child.
He saves some orphan child from like some fucking street goon, and ends up kind of taking him in under his wing a little bit. Just the kid, or at the end, Dick Tracy Jr. Oh, that's nice. Oh, should have checked. Yeah. No, he's always the kid, but so they got like this weird triangle, and then for some reason, Al Pacino is just always like, even though he's like a murderer and a criminal and like an absolute sleazeball, he's just like, he's gonna get us on racketeering. Like he's always worried about like the weirdest crimes, but like,
yeah, right. Yeah, and if they kill, and the greatest thing is like the only reason the mob can't kill Dick Tracy is because if they kill Dick Tracy, then Big Boy will be in trouble.
He's like, no, it's me.
And so he's just like, and he threatens to kill all the other mobsters if they kill Dick Tracy. So it just kind of like that's what perpetuates
the logic.
Mouse,
It is,
which is kind of fun.
It is.
I like that.
It's if it wasn't such a kind of silly movie already on its own, like have that baked into its DNA, I wouldn't be there for. Like I'd be like, that's dumb. But like you write off a lot because it's there's a certain level of cartoon chaos to this that makes your suspension of disbelief a lot more forgiving.
It's very serialized in just this movie too. Like you could see this being like a, I mean they did at one point try to make it a TV show, but it's like you could see this just run as a TV
for sure. That there's always a scheme
TV program where it just there's always a scheme going. Yeah, exactly. Like very because it's got a lot of original Batman DNA. But
for sure. No face. This like fucking because everyone is like flat face, fucking grape face, prune face, mini face.
Yeah.
The villains are like horrifically deformed and terrifying.
It's really they're awesome.
But
there's Mumbles too.
Mumbles. Dustin Hoffman is Mumbles.
he rats him out at the end.
But this no face dude shows up and he's got, you guessed it, no face, and he's like kind of playing both sides. You're trying to kind of hold on, figure out the angle. He's like helping Dick Tracy, but then he's also like doing crime shit and kind of trying to get all the other mob bosses out of the way. And so there's like that. There's like a whole bunch of cat and mouse going on. There's the love triangle going on. It kind of goes on. There's the kid, right? It all kinds of builds up. And then eventually, Faceless, the fucking no face, kidnaps Dick Tracy's girlfriend and then frames Al Pacino. And Al Pacino's like, oh my God, she's in my attic. They're going to blame me for kidnapping. And he's like, I'm not kidnapping you, but now I am. And so it just turns into this whole chaos. And, but Dick Tracy gets framed and he goes to jail and crime's back up, even though, because Dick Tracy's like the, rampant detective that's like, we're going to have to take your bag, Tracy, but they never can. Because
he can't have a desk job.
He's too pure, dude. He's
always on the streets.
For justice, baby. And, but his cop buddies are like, we're transferring you to another jail, and who knows how long that's going to take. And so they go fucking deal with the cops, and they just ignore the judicial system completely. And go deal with, all the, Flat Top and all the other great fucking villains. But Big Boy, I keep wanting to call him Al Capone because it's Al Pacino and then Big Boy, but
Yeah.
Big Boy like escapes and he steals Tracy's girlfriend, and they end up getting, it's not a clock tower, it's like the fucking tram for the bridge or whatever, but they have a
gears.
face off in a building full of gears, and it's very like Batman villainy, and then No Face shows up and Big Boy dies but shoots No Face first, and then they go to check out No Face, and it's Breathless Mahone played by Madonna. It was her all along.
They took off her mask.
Took off her mask and she got shot, and I think it's assumed that she lives, but it never really goes into it, I don't think. But she gets arrested, it's gone, and Dick Tracy's cleared of all his crimes, and he's back on the street, and he doesn't officially adopt. Maybe he does officially adopt the kid, but he's like, the kid's a cop now.
No.
You know what I mean? He like gives him,
the kid, he's an honorary detective.
He gives him one of the cool smart walkie watches.
Yeah. And then they're going to go on to their next caper. You know?
Pretty much. It ends, it's like, we got to get, I know he's like trying to be sweet to his girlfriend and make progress there, because that's like a lot of his personal story arc. And so, he's like, maybe we can be alone together. And then he's like, nah, the kid's like, come on, Dick, we got to go. Stop crime.
Married to the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Dick Tracy, but it's also, none of that captured the visual brilliance of this movie, which is
no, right. Well, just
the first thing you'll remember.
Yeah, I mean that's literally the only thing you'll remember is like it's the vibrant colors and the beautiful, beautiful set design and
dude, the matte paintings, the fucking matte paintings are so
paintings,
good.
Dude. I love it's one of those things where I'm like, God, like digital will never. I mean, no matter how what will happen is in 20 years we'll just be so comfortable with digital that like it'll be fine. It'll be seamless and we'll blend in and we'll go, okay, this is cool, and we'll see what they do with that design, and it's just like once it's like I can just build a computer with like Godot or something, and I can just create my own complete world and scene, and it looks like something that's like Avatar or something.
Yeah.
Once that happens, we'll be like, you won't even like remember what matte paintings were. But like watching this movie, dude, I'm like, why do digital looks so bad compared to this? Like it's so weird. It's like you can't.
It's easier.
You can
That's the whole thing. Yeah, it's just easier.
It's easier. It's easier, and then we become like complacent. We're like, yeah, that's
not me. I'm gonna go get a fucking Dick Tracy tattoo, man.
Yeah, dude. Well, no, I'm gonna live in Toontown, dude. I'm just gonna live in my own,
literally,
live in my own matte painting.
Seriously, have you ever seen this? I can't remember.
No, it's funny. I've never really. I didn't know this movie existed. On the conceptually, I didn't understand. This is like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1989 Batman, like that. Those 5 years from like 1985 to like 90. Those 5 years were like that's when like Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out. That's when Batman came out. That's when this came out. And I'm sure there's like 20 other movies that are in that same wheelhouse that I don't even really know about that are like tentatively on the like.
I hope so, because that tickles my fucking pickle. I always knew if you listen to this, have we ever done Who Framed Roger Rabbit? We have before, right? I don't know.
Yes, we did.
We must have.
Oh my God.
But
holy shit! Now you're blowing my mind.
I don't know.
We 100% did. Yeah, we have.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So it makes no sense that I would love this because it has a lot of the same DNA. But like, I did watch this as a kid quite a lot, but I didn't remember like any of the story beats or anything. I just remember the VHS tape very specifically, like the cover, and then I remember being freaked the fuck out by like all the makeup. Like fucking Big Boy scared the shit out of me, and Flat Top, like everyone, especially that first scene where they're all playing cards and there's the guy with the little face,
dude, the guy with the little face. Do you know how they did that? It's a child. They got a really young, small child, and then they dubbed. It took them forever to shoot that scene
good.
because they dubbed over the kid's mouth with an adult.
That's amazing.
So it's just like I love it.
That's
I
so
love it
funny.
And you can tell when it cuts to him, he looks so like it looks like a little kid taking a picture, like just like that, like like the shock.
I want to go back and watch it now.
So
Watch that
good.
scene now
No,
because
dude,
it's such a good opening too. I love it.
I was cracking up. It's such a good opening, dude. I was cracking my ass up when they cut because they kept talking about him. They're like, "Hey, little face or whatever."
Small
like,
face or something.
kept
Yeah,
being like, yeah. They kept being like, yeah. They're like, "Hey, little face, like it's your turn, deal." And it cuts to him, and he just looks so
he's just like,
shocked. You got
it's terrifying.
He's probably hyperventilating underneath all that latex.
I know.
But anyway,
and then what
that's
the
amazing.
fucking high top or whatever comes in and like shoots up the wall. What's it say? Eat lead, Tracy, or whatever, something like that. It's too cool.
Is that what it's supposed to say?
I don't remember.
couldn't.
It says
I don't
it.
remember. He's like, I'm gonna leave a message.
When he comes back, it doesn't show it till Tracy comes to the scene to look at it. Like during he like leaves during the theater, and like goes, and which perfectly sets up like his relationship with his girlfriend. Like they're at the theater, and he's like, "Come in, Tracy," on his like old on watch.
Dude, well, no,
he leaves and comes back.
I won't. My mother, thank you for listening to this.
Oh,
my
yes,
mom, my mom. So Dick Tracy's huge. My grandpa loves Dick Tracy. I know about Dick Tracy. That's I know about the comics. I know his like, craziness and like the characters and stuff. I knew about this, but it's so funny. I didn't really know about this specific film. But anyways, my mom has a smartwatch and she calls it her Dick Tracy watch. Like,
oh, that's amazing.
like, I can make phone calls with it. And so my grandpa was always like, "Oh, you got your Dick Tracy watch." Like, it's just one of those things with like,
so good.
Dick Tracy's been in my family, but it's
that.
like, yeah. So it's kind of funny that like I'm like maybe I've seen this movie as a kid, like, but I don't remember it. Like I saw like Who Framed Roger Rabbit a bunch.
I'm kind of with you because it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is like a more complete film, so I get it. Like this movie is
for
deeply
kids
flawed
too. Like
this
even
movie,
though this film is rated PG,
it's not for kids. I don't know. Even when I watched it as a kid, it like freaked me out. But I liked getting freaked out when I was a kid. That's because I'm freaky like that, But
well, right, no, and I love. If I was a kid and I saw I'd love the character design.
Yeah,
they're so cool. I love how exaggerated they are and like
their suits, dude. They're fucking super colorful suits and
the colorful suits. And I love the Tommy guns, dude.
Oh, dude,
don't even
gotta have give me more Tommy guns.
Yeah.
No, well, you got a good point because Dick Tracy's a character. Because even though I very much like remember this movie and the vibe of it and like the cover and everything, even back then I feel like I was still tangentially aware that Dick Tracy was like a bigger character more than just the movie, right? And that like kind of in the way that like Judge Dredd, right, where it's just like like the '90s Judge Dredd, Stallone. It's like same deal where it's just like, oh, I know that that's a character, even though I'm a kid or whatever. I know that's a character of like a wider ethos. You know what I mean? I guess. And it's like, so I know there's more Dick Tracy stuff out there, but I'm like, I don't know. They should have made a Dick Tracy cartoon, like an animated series like Batman. The Batman guys should have. The guys who did the animated Batman series.
Dude,
we talked about Batman last week, and we're going to talk about it again because it's like,
and because the DNA's like the whatever. Oh my God, now my brain on remembering names, but the dude like Kirby or whatever that made Batman, he made Batman based off of Dick Tracy, and so it's
that makes 100% sense because Gotham. It feels like Dick Tracy's a character in Gotham before Batman showed up or something. You know what I mean? Like this city, this city feels like Gotham. I don't know why, even though Gotham feels very like 40s and stuff, but like this feels like before the villains started becoming like that way. You know?
On the contract for the deed, it's 1938 is when this movie takes place. So
okay.
I could totally see like Gotham, like Batman coming into this town, a couple years later.
Uh-huh.
And like once crime kind of like Dick Tracy gets older or something, and he ages out of it.
I feel like in this world, like this is where Bruce Wayne's parents get killed, and when Dick Tracy like comes to the scene.
Totally, yeah. Dude, I love one of my favorite bits in this is the cement. I just love.
Dude, that's terrifying though. It's so scary.
It's so scary. And they dump him in
the beginning, and they just like fucking douse him in the cement. He's like, "All right, boys!" Like, It's like, Jesus.
Okay, can we talk about how disgusting his eating was? Like, I
Dude,
loved when she comes over and she's like, I can't, I'm gonna be sick with your slurping or whatever you're eating. And then he's like, you used to like the way I eat. And she's like, yeah, before you were a blimp or something like that.
Yeah,
Whatever. Like,
I like it that it's just like
Eating.
he never stops, and then they take the plates and set down new ones, and he's still just a continuous motion of just slurping. Like he kind of almost did like
it got me a little bit.
he almost like I feel like Dennis Quaid based his fucking prawn eating
I know,
from the
100%,
substance
dude.
on Lips.
I don't know though,
fucking
man.
Lips McKinney or whatever the fuck his name is, just slurping
I don't know which
oysters
one's-
in the most disgusting way.
I don't know which one is worse, dude. I mean, Dennis Quaid maybe because the sauce. He's got a lot more.
The
at least with
close-ups.
the slurping. It's
The
like
close-ups.
it's a clean.
Yeah.
It's a clean getaway too. It's just like he's a shooter, you know, the shells.
If there was
So he's
more,
not, like I don't know, man. When he's slopping it,
if this had the sound design from the substance, then I'd probably vomit because.
yeah. And it's like his mouth too was grotesque.
Oh
dude.
yeah, it was like
Such
they
a-
call them lips. That's what I love is like almost
I
like
know,
in this. If you're a villain, it's like you are physically like if you're disgusting on the inside, you're also disgusting on the outside. Like it's great because like all the good guys are just regular dudes. I mean, in badass fucking suits, but all the bad guys are like
Sure,
in some
right.
crazy makeup. Some crazier than others. Like I don't even know what's going on with fucking Flat Top, and he's got his weird fucking giant heart-shaped head.
Well, dude, and prune face too.
Dude, Prune Face is just
like
his
literally.
melted face.
He looks, it like whatever he has, he looks like it's sloughing off of his skin, like or sloughing off of his skull. Like,
So last week, if you listened to our episode last week, we talked a lot about how like, yeah, this is cool and all, but it's got no style. Like the Dark Knight is, go listen to that episode. I'm not gonna sit here and rip on the Dark Knight, other than I will say this is exactly the opposite of the Dark Knight in a lot of ways, where it's like it's got it's kind of weak in the script department, and it's kind of got some editing issues and here and there, but it's got so much fucking style for days. And it's got that Danny Elfman score, which also coming from Batman, right?
right.
And
And that's why, obviously, that was Warren Beatty saw he's like, man, your score was great. And so he got him, and it's awesome. There's 4 original songs in this movie, and they're all written by
makes sense.
someone big, Sondheim or whatever.
Madonna did a lot of those original ones too, And I honestly,
Right, yeah.
I never take a sec to I never understood, and maybe I wasn't there. We were too young, when Madonna was a sex symbol of the late 80s, It's like I had understood it from as a historian understands that Cleopatra's hot or whatever. But it's like
yeah.
And I'd seen Madonna in other stuff, and I fucking love Slacker, and they're talking about Madonna's pap smear and everything, but I never got it until now. Watching this movie, I'm just like, Madonna, man, I don't know what.
She's
playing
but
the perfect femme fatale, though. I'm just like, she's no Jessica
Marilyn
Rabbit.
Monroe.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. She's not a Jessica Rabbit, but she's a Marilyn Monroe type, and that's kind of what she was playing, the femme fatale, of the sex symbol Marilyn Monroe.
100%.
It kind of so it's got that vibe, but it's a little more, I guess, a little more like a little Betty Boop mixed in there too.
A little bit
with her.
It's definitely
that
Marilyn Monroe comparison is huge, but it's just like she's just kind of a tragic character, and I kind of almost want to watch this again just because it's like I was digging it, and the whole time I was like, with her character and Tracy, I was like, okay, she's coming on so hard and everything, and obviously that's her character and her weaponization, right, of using her sexuality to try and
her
that's
and
how
Nora.
right, and and Tracy's oh yeah, you're hot and everything, but I'm a justice and I got a girlfriend and all this, but and I was waiting for the kind of other shoe to drop because I'm she's obviously the femme fatale from the get go, she's she's in trouble too, a classic femme fatale, but I'm what's the angle here? And then literally when they raid the club at the end, she's like, Tracy, he went that way, and he doesn't believe her at first, and he's like, why don't you trust me or whatever? And then he does go to the wine cellar, and I was like, so maybe she's not behind any of it. And then so when it did the no face drop, dude, I was like I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah, no,
it got me when the no face came
Right.
off and it was her, I was just like, oh, that's fucking perfect, and I love it. Like, it's so good.
I think it's funny because what the movie does really well is it builds like I'm rooted in this reality here. This is why the Batman kind of just like bummed me out a little bit because it's just like I believe all these characters. They are who they are. I don't think they're not wearing a mask. So No Face, I was expecting a tragic backstory of like their face being scarred off.
Literally, everyone
like,
is called
like,
something face, so it fits perfectly
something-
into the ethos. Like I said ethos again.
The
world of this, though, you know, right?
Sure, yeah, ethos is a fun word, you know, but it's just the fact that you can wear a mask that is like it felt like a grounded human being, and so the fact that they took a mask off, I was even more like I was double perplexed because I was like, oh, it's cool that it's her. I love that it's breathless, and I didn't know you could. It's like of course you could wear a mask in this movie. Like I didn't expect it to not be, to have like a Scooby-Doo reveal. I had no idea that was gonna happen.
No, you don't
So
expect it because that's the thing. It's like normal in a movie that has like this DNA. It would be like just a dude wearing a mask, actually, and then it'd be like, who's behind the mask?
Even talking about like Watchmen.
Yeah.
Watchmen, it's like they're all wearing masks, and then they take the persona. But it's like in this, I'm like, no one wears a mask in this movie, period, except for the one person who's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
That like, you know,
it's perfect. Yeah, it really is. It's perfect though because it really does set it up.
I think I lost him.
Oh no! Wait, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can read you loud and clear, baby.
Good. I can hear you all along, so it should be okay to.
You're
cut.
like breathless. Okay, great. Yeah. Cut. You won't cut this out. You fool. You're gonna play this raw footage. Everybody out there, we had a little hiccup, and if he edits this out, then you'll know that. But if he doesn't, come onto the YouTube and write bongo in there. And if you write bongo, we'll hook you up with our Patreon.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of, I got those mugs I moved into storage. I forgot to add those. Don't let me forget. Anyway, this I don't know, man. It's like it's very like it does get kind of confusing and like lost in the sauce because it's like there are like so many moving pieces that don't really have like a concrete.
I know I was gonna say on our comparison to give Batman.
Yeah, to come back to like compare that. Yeah, like,
to give Batman its flowers. At least Batman, like I liked. It's like the structure. Even though in Batman they did the rules of three where like he does like three. He does some heists in between like three main things to like screw up the city. You know, it's like, okay, I wish that this movie had a little bit more of a bigger plan because it was just kind of like it. That's why I say it felt serialized. Like,
yeah,
it's
it
just
like
they
I'm
put him
crime.
down in the boiler room.
Yeah,
it's all these things where they're like, we have to kill Dick Tracy, but you could just get a gun and shoot him in the face. But he's like, no, don't do that because it's like we've got to do a thing that makes it
very cartoon villain logic where it does very much feel like we can't kill him. That's for R-rated movies, like
exactly. And even when they're like at the end with the shootout, it's like that's very violent, but it's not. I mean, it's not. It's just like it's noisy and flashy and fun, but there's not a single drop of blood, obviously.
Right.
And I didn't know this was rated PG because it's watching it even though it had a child in it, this did not feel like a movie for children. Where that's where the biggest comparison for me is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Right.
Where that is like that doesn't feel like it's. I mean, it feels more like it's for kids because it's like. It's got all of the Disney. It's got all these properties, all these kid properties in it.
Well, it's hard to compare because Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a perfect film. Like it is perfect, but it perfectly walks the line between hard-boiled noir. That's like because I mean noirs weren't ever really like that explicit either. Like they were crime and they touched on subjects of like of a sexual nature, which was pretty taboo for like the 40s. But like. Who Framed Roger Rabbit perfectly walks the line between that and like a cartoon world, where this movie is like the cartoon logic and the cartoon aesthetic, but it's way more like noir, and it and because of that, it skews the cartoon to be like terrifying, because it's like this movie. The logic is cartoon, like the characters feel like cartoon characters in a way that. The Dark Knight characters felt like cartoon characters, but they looked like they were in a fucking Mazda commercial or something. Where in this, it's like they, the substance matched the style of it. And But yeah, it's like it definitely skews in one way where it's like, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's for kids in the same way. Because even though it is like, we're edgy, we talk about this all the time. Like, what would this be like if it was? But you see,
Al Pacino's
straight
character,
up,
though, was too.
he's gross.
He was too like crass and gross and just like. But it's awesome because like the prosthetics that he had on kept like coming off because he was just too big. He was so like literally in his acting, he was just so. It's like Al Pacino just screaming it's amazing. It's terrifying, but I love it.
It is. So you got one Washington, one me. You know, like he's the best.
Yeah, right. That whole I love when he would do that and be like, "There's love and prosperity." That's Lincoln.
I know you keep dropping quotes like.
But he drops the quotes in like the scariest, insuccinct way possible. Like in the middle, in the middle of a conversation, it'll just be like the river flows east. That's Gandhi.
Well, he's a great villain, but it's like you're right. Like I wish there was like a grand plot because this, like you say, it's very much like the world, and it's very plopped in where it's like you got the kid, you got the weird love triangle. Well, the biggest thing you could call a plot is the No Face stuff, right? It's like No Face is lurking beyond the scenes. But it's
and him big boy big boy coming in, killing the first mob boss, taking the town or whatever, that neighborhood, and getting the nightclub, because I love that like the nightclub is like the center of the town. But I wish that was more of the focus, where it's like, all right, he killed the first boss, now he's got the nightclub, and then I think through the second act it should be him trying to get all of the mob bosses together. And then in like the final act, kind of kill them off in between No Face and everything, because it just felt like there were so many, like they just kept doing that where it's like, I feel like they just tried to pack way too much of this. And, maybe in that 2 hour and 2.5 hour film, it actually has more room to breathe. There's something.
I would love to watch that because it's like.
I'm curious. Yeah.
I would like to see more of like, because it did feel somewhat like it was forced, and that's fine because, again, my suspension of disbelief is like you could practically do anything in this movie because of how crazy it is, and I would buy it within universe, right, as long as you're consistent, which it was. But it's like I wanted more of like the Breathless and Tracy stuff, and then like kind of like that triangle to kind of feel more fleshed out. But it's like, Big Boy's rise, because it's like, they show like his downfall when they bug him in a montage. And then his re-rise back to crime in another montage once Tracy's in jail.
Right.
And it's like, that's fine, but it does, like you say, it's like, it feels like this was like a 6-episode series that they're like, let's cut it down to a movie real quick. Because it's like, it's not very concise. And it's like, I was bummed because the climax at the not clock tower, whatever the fuck, bridge.
Well, no, it's funny. He calls it a clock tower. In the movie, he goes, tick tock in the clock tower. I
guarantee you that's just him improving because he's losing his fucking mind.
Because he's like, he's got heat stroke under all that makeup.
I know. The makeup, it was lead paint just on there. Like.
I know, really, though. But, no, do you know what would have been great, though? Like, I don't know. Whatever Warren Beatty did he direct McCabe and Miss Miller or whatever, or I really can't remember.
No, it was wasn't it like Altman or something?
Oh, was it? Yeah, was it Altman? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, once we do an episode, it like leaves my mind forever. But anyways,
we have a lot of cinema knowledge, if you will, but we seek cinema knowledge. But what we do have is just a giant, bold, like bubbling cauldron of just like misremembered.
It's mashed. I always think of my brain as Mr. Burns when he's got all the germs trying to get out of the door and they're jammed in there, and he's like no, the slightest breeze could kill you. It's like that's just my brain. Like the slightest breeze makes me forget everything I've ever thought of. So
it's totally Robert Altman. We had a whole conversation. Go listen to that episode.
I know. Yeah, I liked that movie, and it's funny. I'm like, Warren Beatty he's great. I like him as an actor. He's fine. I mean, he's just super milquetoast, basic dude. Very, but he can hit his lines.
Who would you cast? Warren Beatty. He's like 90 now or whatever. If he was he's like, we were gonna make one more Dick Tracy movie because I still have the rights. We're gonna do I'm gonna executive produce on a Dick Tracy movie, and who would you recast then?
Well, I don't know. Contemporarily, that's kind of hard. It'd probably be Timothy Chalamet because he's the only actor.
Oh God,
that's working today. No,
he's
I'm
not.
I
His
totally
jaw's
can't,
not square enough. You need a dude. You need like a John
I mean,
Hamm.
It's pretty.
You know, like
Yeah,
John
I know,
Hamm
yeah.
or
Well,
something.
John Hamm or, oh my God, who's the guy from Sam Raimi's movies from Evil Dead? Campbell, whatever. Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah, he'd be pretty good.
Did you know Bruce Campbell? There is a pilot episode out there of the Dick Tracy TV show that came out in like '91, where it was Bruce Campbell.
Hell yeah!
And so
sounds great, actually.
I'm like, yeah, even Bruce Campbell now would still be a pretty cool Dick Tracy.
It's true.
Truthfully,
yeah, it's a little old,
anyways,
but Dick Tracy can be older. That's cool. Dick Tracy's like a 50-year-old man. Like that's fine.
Yeah, right. But anyways,
fucking Breathless would be like Zendaya or something. But
I know.
Zendaya. My apologies.
Zendaya. It is day. Yes, it's day. She brightens your day. But guess who was signed on to direct this movie and was in contract and then broke out of his contract because he butted heads too much with Warren Beatty?
Tim Burton.
Take a wild guess. Oh, Tim Burton's kind of funny. That would be cool.
I only because it's so much like it does owe a lot of DNA to Tim Burton's Batman, obviously. So
sure, it does. No, dude, it was Martin Scorsese.
What
was on his picture?
Can you
imagine? That's
amazing.
I wish it was. It's like it's one of those things where I'm like, Scorsese.
It wouldn't be as
wacky.
I don't think it would go as wacky. Like
I don't know though. I think he could do wacky because it's like after we watched his one like
this
After
is a little
Hours,
bit after this
I'm
is After Hours is like what 86 or something like that, like late 80s.
Yeah, right. Or no, I thought it was like 82 or something.
It might be because
earlier, but yeah. So it's like
I could see
it's like After Hours is a little wackier. I could see him doing this because he's got mob genre down.
That's true.
So it's like, he could do that. But dude, it was once Scorsese stepped out, it was either going to be that Bob Fosse or whatever, and then Hal Ashby, but then Sam Raimi or Brian De Palma or the Coen brothers. They were all like
Raimi.
Slated.
I'm not a huge Raimi fan, but Raimi, I think out of all those would do it best.
I could see him doing it. It'd be kind of cool.
Especially like 90s Raimi or like 90s Raimi's because like what Darkman came out like 93 or some shit like that. It's like that's got some similar DNA. I could see him going with this with a little bit less, but I'm glad Warren Beatty. So I'm assuming all these directors came through and they fell through, and Warren Beatty's like, "Fuck it, I have the rights. I'm going to direct it too." Right? Like,
right, 100%. Yeah, because he's like, I've directed a film. He's just like, let's do it. I'm acting in it already. So, yeah,
and that tracks.
He decided to do it.
I think maybe that's why it's a little messy.
He really
but...
didn't have but he had the main vision. So I definitely
Well, no, it's good. Well, because that's the thing. It's like, even though this movie is kind of messy, especially like, like again, in the script and like a little bit of the characterization and like the overall structure, a little messy of a movie, but it's got so much passion. And I can tell, like, not even knowing that it was a passion project, it's like, I can tell that just like whoever made this movie, which obviously it turns out it was Warren Beatty, whoever the fuck made this movie, I'm like, really wanted to make this movie because this does not seem like a popular movie necessarily. Like, I'm sure I think it did. I remember there being toys at the time, but I don't remember
I was gonna get into that, and I'm like, God, what were the? I was just reading.
Were they like McDonald's toys or something? I don't remember, but
there were action figures too, and there were some that got pulled because they were fucking weird,
terrifying and weird.
they were terrifying, and like I think one was like too sexy or something.
Dude, I want, because honestly, again,
yeah,
I'm a Breathless Mahoney, like fucking Die Hard now. I get it. I'm gonna buy the Madonna sex book now, like at the coffee table book.
You're like I get, Madonna wasn't. Did Madonna and Sting ever get together?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Oh, I'm sure. But I'm surprised this didn't stir in me. Because it's like, I had seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit dozens of times, and I'd seen this a couple times as a kid. I watched it at my dad's house quite a bit. But I don't really remember anything other than, like, the terrifying villains and how fucking awesome Dick Tracy is with his and that kid wants to eat all the time. Like, I remember that. But
dude, that scene, that's
another montage, so.
It's another montage. That's what I'm saying, dude. There are so many montages in this. It's very annoying. But then, and it's like that ADR was like really bad, and like it was so. Great. I understand it was played for laughs, but like it was, the joke just went on and on. It was one of those like I'm like, all right, buddy, let's wrap it up.
Dude, these toys are giving me like horrific acid 90s flashbacks, and I love it. I want one of these Dick Tracy action figures, dude. They're amazing. Also, my daughter reminds me constantly that my favorite color is yellow. And so
Sure.
she always is like, Dad, yellow, it's your favorite color. Like, she'll have something that's yellow and she'll go way out of her way to show it to me.
You're like, hell yeah, dude.
I know. And it's true because it's like, I'm always the yellow piece in board games. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
But like, I do love it. And so seeing, we watched the Oscars the other night, and Timothée Chalamet, like you say, he was in he was in like a mustard yellow suit. And so when you're like making the joke about how he would unfortunately probably play Dick Tracy, I like can see it too well because of that. But I'm like, nah, he can't. He's gonna have to like foot tall, high boots. He's taller than me. I found out that, which is unfortunate. So.
Oh, really? He is?
Yeah.
He seems like a small man, but I don't
smaller than you. You giant of a man.
know. Yeah, right. I know. Yeah. I'm a
Well,
strapping young lad.
Yeah, but on camera we're the same size. No one can tell.
Really though. No one really can. We never do this standing next to each other, but we might soon.
We should, yeah. Just one camera, just as
shoulder
close. Yeah.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Hey,
Actually, do they need that? We should be the first that says shoulder to shoulder, just staring straight at the camera,
straight down the barrel. We'll do an episode like that.
Yeah, that's empowering.
Anyway, this I don't know, man. Like even though this is not as good of a movie as because we switched gears and I picked comic book movies coming off the Dark Knight because I feel like I needed like Dark Knight tickled something that I wanted more of because I feel like Dark Knight is a fine movie, but it's not a good like comic book movie, I guess, because it doesn't have that zhuzh, that flavor. But it's like, so I'm so glad that we did because I loved it, Tracy. Like it is a objectively worse movie than The Dark Knight, but I had much more fun with it. Like
100%.
Like it's fun, it's wacky, it's fun to look at. Like it's fucking like it's just kind of that extreme.
I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit to kind of like bring it in context that actually my mind was blown. This was this is the Money Minute section. It was $47 million to shoot, which I was kind of like, damn, okay. I get it. It's probably Warren Beatty was like, I don't know. I assume that number is a little inflated because the studio was like all of the infrastructure they built to create the sets and everything they shot and the year of pre-pro and shit. Like I imagine that this movie went through like
a little bit of development hell problems.
Yeah, it's development hell problems. So it's like I can't imagine that it was like $47 million to shoot in '89. But I mean,
I bet you at least I bet you 10 of that went towards issues before. I bet you before they even started rolling, they had dropped 10. You know what I mean?
They had guaranteed.
I mean, not even rolling, but even before they built
just
sets.
For writing,
you know what I mean? Like just in general,
and
it seems messy.
The pre-production was 10 guaranteed. Yeah. And anyways, so $47 million, but it grossed it's wild that this movie is like not very talked about, and it grossed $162 million.
That is a significant amount on that return.
That's
how
that's huge.
How did they not immediately make a sequel? There's no remake. This movie has little legacy. It's a cult classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even then it's less of a cult classic to where like I would say, I don't know, like Phantom or even like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I guess is such a like,
that's more than a cult classic. It's one of the best movies ever made.
Now, no, I understand, but I just like,
but yeah, you're
when right. When I think about like how come that movie didn't get a sequel, I wonder if it even made as much,
That's a good point.
Like,
it's a good point.
So anyways, I think this just rode the coattails of Batman because Batman in '89's Batman was like a raging success. It was it is what kickstarted the comic book, the hope for comic book movies, to coast through the '90s and then what we are now today. So it's just like, so I have a feeling it was probably that people were like looking for it, and the PG rating probably helped a lot too. They probably got a lot of families in, but that's a crazy amount.
That's a huge amount. I thought for sure you're gonna say like, okay, I was thinking in my head, I was like, okay, when you said like 46, I was like, that's pretty steep. And then I was like, but I mean, like, that's all things considered, that's pretty steep. But I was like, okay, they have, obviously, there was toys and stuff, so they probably made a buttload of merchandising or whatever. And I remember it, like, I don't remember it being like I was obviously too young. I mean, I wasn't even born when it came out. But it's like I'd watched it so much as a kid, so it's like, I guess I missed, like, the initial.
Home video.
Right,
Home video's
right.
huge.
And, but yeah, it's like, it seems like it had no cultural impact, which is crazy that it made that much at that time, that it's like, you would think that it's like, how have they not, like, remade this? How have they not, like, done, like, an animated series? Like, give me an animated series, please. Just give me. They made that new Amazon Batman series, the Cape Crusader or whatever. It's pretty solid. Give me that, but like Dick Tracy. Like,
yeah, they could do it, dude.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking. I'm officially. I'm just a hardcore Dick Tracy fan now. I'm gonna go fucking get the comics, and I'm gonna get an action figure.
Wow. I wonder, dude. I think like Dick Tracy was like the last thing he directed. Oh no, he directed a movie in '98 called Bulworth. Never mind. But
yeah, I've seen the poster for that movie a million times.
I mean, he actually, now that he hasn't really directed much, anyways. So.
Well, I hope he does something, because I heard that he did like a weird mini thing, like in the early 2000s of Dick Tracy, just in order to keep the rights, right?
To keep the rights, yeah. In 2008, he did he did just like, I don't even know how long he had to shoot for. I don't know what the time limit was. He had to reprise the character just to keep the rights, which is, we've created such a weird system for our rights.
It's very
such
weird,
a weird system. Like what can go into like public domain, and then like what is like owned under some company, and then human, like one individual can own a right, and then like choose to go to court. But I don't know. Anyways, it's funny that he's got that. God, what is?
Yeah, it's I don't know how much more I have to say about Dick Tracy. Let me see if we got it ready, because it's like so much of this movie is definitely remembered, I think, just obviously for its visual style, which is
it's
10 out of
characters.
10. Like,
and I think that's like why I'm like, I don't know how they could have made this more film. Like, I'm almost like they needed to trim like a half hour off of this. Like this should have been like a solid 130 instead of 145, because it's like.
But they should have came at it with that, right? Because like you can tell that it was just like they conceptually. I'm gonna write a Dick Tracy fucking fan fiction, man. I don't give a shit.
I know. Well, it's one of like the oldest IPs, so it's like there's probably
so I'm
a lot
like
more Dick Tracy
fucking
out there that we could
Warren Beatty just like, I guess maybe if he owns it, like let that shit go to public domain. We get it on the Dick Tracy.
I know, for reals, dude.
Anyway, I got Reddit, so let's see what our buddy Clones of People 2 has to say about it. So he says, first watch, I don't know much at all about this, and I know nothing of the source material. The film has such a unique look and looks like it came straight out of a comic book. The matte paintings are done really well, and it's memorable for that. It really feels like it's taken a lot from Batman. The look of the villains and the action feel like they're from the 60s show, and the score, which was sometimes great, sometimes overbarred, felt like the animated show from the 90s. 100%. I was surprised at the star talent on display. So many big actors in such a cartoony film. I wondered if they all loved the character or had to be convinced with a lot of money. I did read that this was a passion project for Warren Beatty. I can't get over how similar he is to Harrison Ford. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Harrison Ford would have been a good Dick Tracy. Overall, great visuals. Story a bit lackluster. I'll remember what it looks. I'll remember Pacino and Hoffman, but I'll forget the rest. 6 out of 10. I want to see a crossover film that has Jessica Rabbit playing Breathless.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Or Jessica Rabbit and Breathless together sharing the stage. Like
what kind of film that would be, though. I bet you I can find
them competing. Yeah, them competing with their assets.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say fucking ass to ass, like fucking, like fucking Requiem for a Dream or something. I was like,
dude, that's so good.
That's the film I want to see.
Yeah.
Sorry, derailed you.
Dude, no, really. So now I can't.
Well, because Jessica. That's why I'm like surprised, because
I can't unsee Jessica Rabbit and
this
Madonna.
Weird. It's. I'm discovering some things about myself, because obviously, I'm one of the people
You
that
finally like a woman now. Like,
I know.
oh
No.
my God.
I was one of the kids that like obviously when I saw Jessica Rabbit when I was a kid, I was like hubba hubba. I didn't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying about like I've always had such a soft spot for noir films. Like as you know, I mean we've talked about it. And
Totally. Yeah. Right.
it definitely comes from these places. Like just like it's weird how ingrained in my childhood they are because it's like I love film noir, but it's just like I didn't get around to watching so much film noir until I was like, like 16 or whatever. When I saw Double Indemnity, and that blew my. I also was like hubba in that too. But which you still need to fucking watch, right?
I know. I know.
We'll watch it eventually. But
we did it. Remember when we did a noir month for this podcast? And it was the least. It was like the least viewed.
I know.
Month of our whole existence.
I know. Remember when we made a movie that was kind of about noir?
I know. Yeah, totally.
Check that out. But it's like
it is on. It's out there on YouTube.
It is. I don't know. Like this, I wish there was more like this, like kid geared style of like hyper stylized noir that we get with like Batman, that we like, early Batman, especially the cartoon as well, that we get with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and that we get with Dick Tracy. Like that is such a fucking foundational thing of like I think late 80s, early 90s that must have gripped my soul, man. And I'm not thinking about it till lately because I'm like, I was never even like, I'm not a huge Batman fan, but last time I watched the 89 Batman again, I was like flooded with such nostalgia for it. And I'm like, yeah, this is the shit. This is a specific brand of like this kid geared noir that just fucking does it for me, man. And I want that to make a comeback. It won't. It was a place of its time, but I was like, But now you're right. I feel like there's some hidden nuggets from that era. I want to go back and see, like, because I know they tried to rip off more, you got like Cool World and stuff, which kind of sucks, but it's I like it in theory. So now I'm wondering if I would watch it again. Cool World, you know what I'm talking about? You ever see that one?
Oh, totally, 100%. Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Brad Pitt.
But I've only ever seen like video essays about it. It's one of those like oh, this wild attempt. But I need to say something real quick because I didn't even mention it. I had it written down on my thing where I'm like, there's a lot of like cinema just like in this movie that I feel like if you like this, we haven't done this segment for a long time, but if you like this film, go watch Sin City. Like that's Sin City.
Like that's like spiritual successor. Like
that is the and Sin City is like solid. Like I haven't seen Sin City in about 10 years, but I saw it like 20 times. Yeah. And so I like it still holds up. I watched it not long ago, dude. It still holds up, and for sure. But it's not the kid. It's very adult. Like
extremely adult.
Extremely adult. Like almost like it's so adult that it's
a joke.
I don't want to watch it.
It's so
I want to watch it by myself.
Yeah.
No, but
hubba hubba, right?
That's what we're talking about. The yellow bastard, dude. No, but it's like it's adult in that like it's like if you like if you get triggered by violence towards women, then it's not the movie for you because there's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's fucking I don't know, dude. Sin City is so dope, and there's shots in Sin City that are in Dick Tracy, and I'm like, oh damn, that's cool. They like there's a lot of the like that oh shit, I can't remember what the shot is.
Oh, the like split diopter shot.
There's
where it's the two focus or whatever.
Yeah, right, and they're like it's really blurry in the middle, and they did that with like her champagne glass in this, and they did it with some other shots.
They did it like like 5 or 6 times I think. Because I noticed it every time. I was like, oh, that's great. That's good. Yeah.
Sin City is like, dude, I love that movie so much. It's because it's got it has the femme fatale, and it has like I just love that. Like her name's Breathless because she's doing the like. Do you think we could have ever been together? Like that, just that beautiful, like, doll, you think, I love you. And like, they do that in Sin City where it's like, you're never going to make it, doll. Like, it's so good. I love Sin City.
And that's the interesting thing about Sin City too, is it's like, it also is like very like serialized in the fact that it's essentially like 3 or 4.
It's like 5.
Yeah. Like
storylines.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's like it kind of has a lot of the same DNA, but just like grimy. It's just like grimy. It's more 80s of when everything was fucking grimy as shit.
Right. And I wanted to say that it's weird because it's like it holds up really well, even though it's all digital. But that's because it's like it was doing that.
Well,
it's like,
hyper
it's so wild because
stylized,
do you remember when there was that time when people were like when Beowulf came out where they were like this is the future, dude. Like actors won't even have to be in the room. They can just like mocap their face and then that's all the actor will have to do. They could just like, they could be in their trailer and they don't have to like come on like do grueling days and it's like it's going to ruin cinema. And then like there was like 3 movies made that did that and now it's, now it's done and it's
literally
like,
the best thing that ever
weird.
did that was another
Sky
noir.
Captain.
No, okay.
Oh.
Another noir, but a video game, LA Noir, did that with the face,
sure.
with the hyper stylized face motion capture stuff.
Yeah.
All right, you heard it here first. First, folks.
That's a good game.
We are next month doing a noir month again.
We should. No, honestly, dude, we should.
We should do maybe not noir, but like we should do like something like hyper stylized, like something that's like because we were gonna do like surreal, but I'm talking like specifically visually, like something like you're gonna get your Sin Cities, but your Sky Captains, but like also like The Fall
or Michelle Gondry. Oh, sure, yeah,
and like fucking like The Cell, like Michelle Gondry would be perfect, like something like that's very.
But he's a little smaller. Michelle Gondry is like a small pitcher. You're like thinking like big, like Hellraiser style, like the whole universe is like, involved. I mean, that'd be kind of fun, to find movies like that fit that theme.
Michelle Gondry's good. Like Science of Sleep would fit it, kind of. It's like, Anyway, I don't know. This definitely stirred something more in me. So I'm gonna go do research for myself to find out more of
research,
this.
baby. Yeah, I know you are. Jessica Rabbit research.
For sure.
But yeah, if you guys out there in podcast land have any ideas for like, that kind of the big stylized worlds, and maybe even something that lives in like from like 85 to 2000 lives in there that maybe we haven't heard of, because I'm that's what I want to look up. Some,
the fact that you didn't even know this was a movie and it made like 150 over
162. It's crazy.
It's little nugget, little gem in there, man. It's like I'm really glad we ended up watching this one because I wasn't so sure. I wanted to see it for nostalgia purposes, and it's like it obviously rang my nostalgia bell, but it's just so cool. I don't know, it's just cool.
Yeah, and it makes me want to read the comic Fatale again, because that's
I know I literally boxed it up. I was talking about it. I boxed it up. That's what they should fucking make into a series. Anyway,
they don't have the balls to do it, dude.
We'll do Fatale when we do Cobb, when we do Cult of Book.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's actually a good idea. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we
could do comics.
All right, cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do. We're getting super nerdy with it. We're gonna read in books too. So we're gonna do a Cult of Book. We're gonna do a book one eventually. So you'll see.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah,
stay tuned
for that.
Stay tuned for Cult of Book, baby. All right.
We love it.
Cult of Cinema Knowledge. I don't know what we're watching next week. So far, it looks like maybe Ghost World, maybe American Splendor. I was getting a little bit more artsy fartsy in that way with it.
The less comic book world that you expect, But
I'll get back hard into the comic book paints into next week. I'll put Sin City probably on a poll. I didn't put Sin City on this last week's poll, right?
No, I don't think.
I feel like I did Sin City recently, but we definitely haven't watched it. So I'll put it on next week's poll probably though, and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because now I obviously want the hyper stylized shit. So
yeah.
And we'll watch some Marvel movies, but we're gonna watch like the '70s Hulk or something like.
No, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Get the old school like Thor. They have the old Thor from the 80s.
Pablo, if you're listening to this, I love you, and he's so mad that I didn't like the Dark Knight, of course, but obviously, but he's gonna call us the biggest hipsters in the world because we're like, we're gonna go back to '80s Thor. We refuse to do Marvel.
I'm talking like there's like the Luke Ferrigno Hulks.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about, baby. So
hell yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Go vote on the movies. Come talk to us on Reddit. Let's talk about movies. You tell us your Dick Tracy stories and your, Jessica Rabbit fantasies. And check out the Patreon if you're on YouTube. Hello. All that good shit. So.
Comment on our YouTube, friends. That's cool. And if you want to support us financially, we'd love it. You can come to Patreon and give us your hard-earned cash.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be it. So, all right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.